come you've only got one video there? Are you sure you're looking at the right place?
This is the channel.
No, hold on. It's got a picture of us.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, boom.
We're in.
Yeah, we're away. Right, before we go live on the podcast, although there's only... I might as well wait and do this in a minute because there's no one there right now, is there?
One person. Oh,
but you can always watch back. As in, like I did on Friday, I watched your Thursday session.
Ah.
Did you really?
I did.
Is that how you... Is it interesting to know how you consume your own podcast?
It's quite vain, that, isn't it, Phil?
Yeah, very vain.
Tuning into your own podcast.
Writing notes about how bad we were.
Well, yeah, we've got a few things to mention, of course.
Well, we will get into that. Right, let's do this then, gents.
Do it.
Hit record.
Do it.
Hello, Egg Chasers. It's the Egg Chasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. We're back in the Rugby Dungeon after round 22 of the Premiership, after the conclusion, well, almost the conclusion of the Rainbow Cup, after the first leg of the Championship playoff, and all sorts of other rugby stories to talk about besides, which we will be getting into in the Rugby Dungeon. I'm Tim, that is JB.
Hello, Tim.
That is Phil.
Hello, Tim.
I could have made us look like a real boy band if I'd worn my
White t-shirt,
plain white t-shirt.
It's 25 degrees outside at nearly 9 o'clock, and it's 80 to 90% humidity. Why are you wearing a hoodie, Tim?
It looks like he's been training. Look at his new sneaks.
Ooh, some Brooks. Are they running shoes?
They are.
They're runners.
Are they ghosts?
They're ghosts. Yeah.
Oh.
They're my annual half-price Vitality purchase with
Not
my life insurance.
Not a sponsor of the podcast.
No, but they're welcome.
Yep, absolutely welcome. Absolutely welcome.
We do a great job for you, Vitality.
Oh,
absolutely.
And Vitality would do a great job for your life insurance. No, basically, I thought before I left the house, I feel like I'm a little bit beefy because I've been training.
Yeah, I've been working out.
You know how it is.
I don't want to brag, but I squat cleaned 120 this week. I don't want to talk about it though. Don't want to talk about it.
Nice.
Did you? How low?
Low as
how
possible.
How much into the squat did you have? No. I mean, how much of the squat were you already in to get the bar up? Because actually, it's hard to get 120k up too high anyway.
They're getting it up. Wasn't the issue. I failed. I failed with my squat coming back up. I was getting it to shoulders, no problem. But then getting off the ground was difficult. Very difficult.
Do you know what's good training for that?
Front squats.
Front squat with a 2-second pause at the bottom. So you don't use the elastic bounce. You actually, yeah. Anyway, this is nothing to do with
great
rugby.
chat. Great chat.
It's good though, and glad any weight chat. Talk
oh, absolutely.
Let us know your other weight scores through the podcast. But thank you for listening. If you haven't already, hit subscribe wherever you get your podcast, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all the other places. If you haven't subscribed yet, do, because the Lions is coming up, which means you're going to get videos coming at you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Videos and, well, I say videos, I'll get into that in a minute. Podcasts coming at you all the time. Videos as well on YouTube. And thank you very much to our patrons on patreon.com/eggchasers. Go there just for no other reason than to see what 3 guys on World Rugby's cameras trying not to look drunk, but failing. Looks like, and then find out all the little goodies you can get by giving us your support.
Yep.
And thank you very much for that. And on that note, we will be doing a shirt giveaway on this podcast in just a little bit. How you doing, Phil?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Very good. Been enjoying the sunshine this weekend.
Yeah.
It's lovely and warm today. Me and JB had a couple of beers and a barbecue this afternoon.
We did. Yes.
Did he? How did he? His portions and all the different things. Did he cook up? Did he over cater on a barbecue?
It was a friend of ours, friend of the pod, Steve Elliott, who was cooking and did a good job.
Did a very good job.
Did a very good. It was like his take on a Philly cheesesteak.
Nice.
Which was very good.
Now, are you going to say what I expect you to say? Because I hope this is where this is going. People who cook too much meat on barbecues
we have mentioned it before.
Are basically tyrants.
We have mentioned it before. There's no need.
No need.
And I actually, it was you said on a previous podcast about what country was it? They do it where they in South Africa where they cook a bit, bring it round.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
And I did that this evening.
So good, isn't it? It's so much better.
Barbecued a bit of salmon with some chili and lemon juice, and then we ate that. So Talk amongst yourselves for a second. I need to take my top off.
It is very warm in here. I'm astonished you're wearing that.
Right, we're also on streaming on YouTube right now. So if you are on YouTube, your comments, your questions, your thoughts, anything whatsoever, take the podcast where you will. I'm just going to go and look at that. Priority access to live podcast shows, and the sooner normality is back, the better, so we can do lots of those. You get entered into a shirt giveaway to win one of the jerseys monthly from the Rugby Dungeon, and there is some extra little nuggets we pop up there, among other things, and it just means that when we do live shows, we can actually get proper professional help, and not fumbling in the dark as we do.
Like GB News today.
Like GB News.
Yeah. If you think this is if you think this is easy, just have a look at GB News. It's not.
It's really not.
It's really not.
But that's why you do a soft launch on a Sunday night rather than go big on a Monday morning.
Ah.
Right. What jersey? What jersey?
Oh. Well, you have a knack of just picking my favourites and giving them away. Don't. It's something you can't give away. You can't give away Brady. You can't give away Benjamin, ever. Greenwood can go. How about that?
Really?
I have no attachment to an old Harlequins jersey.
An actual Premiership Harlequins jersey of Will Greenwood's.
Maybe not. Then.
No, I like that, Jay.
Yeah,
I like that. That is just demonstrating how much we care about the people that make this podcast possible.
Yeah, certainly the always back yourself at home jersey. That'll only go if it's for a good cause. If
the Chris Robshaw World Cup 2019.
Yeah, the only way I'll
2015.
ever get rid of that is for, like, I don't know, if we're raising money for someone. That's the only way that's ever leaving here.
Yeah.
That jersey as well is absolutely filthy.
No, that's it. This is the filthy one. Oh, which one is it?
That's the Chris
That's
Yeah.
that we always back ourselves at home. Chris
Yes.
Robshaw England shirt.
It is filthy.
The other one is the Dylan Hartley.
Dylan Hartley signed shirt.
The Dills one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Will Greenwood. I love that. An actual Premiership shirt worn by.
Yeah, you put me
British
off it.
and
You put me off it
Irish
now.
Lions.
You put me off it now.
No, do it, Jay. Do it. It's only stuff. Can't take it with you, but someone can have that can have a great home.
I've got no sons. They're not going to be interested in any of this, are they?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, go on then.
The Will Greenwood jersey.
Oh, why?
Okay, Greenwood, and it's a nice big shirt as well. Let's have a look. Drum roll, please.
If you don't want the Greenwood jersey, and if you win, you don't want it, let me know, and I'll provide you with something else.
Okay.
That's such an awesome shirt to wear to a game as well, like proper vintage.
It is an awesome shirt, and I'm giving it away. It's over 20 years old, that shirt.
It is number 295. It is Bob Sugden.
Bob Sugden. I feel like that should go to a Quins fan, actually. Bob, if you're not a Quins fan, let me know, and I'll sort you out with something else.
Yeah, there's a negotiation to be had.
Yeah,
Bob.
Because if that's going to go somewhere, it should be to a Quins fan.
Yeah, that sounds
well,
good.
But hey, patreon.com/eggchasers. So, representing BT Sport as I do.
As you do. Well, very well.
I just want to say how wonderful it is that BT Sport have got the second leg of the Championship playoff when it's all to play for. And Ealing Trailfinders, the comeback is on, I'm telling you.
Wow.
Everyone tune into this one. When I watched this, what popped into my head was...
So you okay? Can you go on? Get him a body bag! Yeah!
That bit from Karate Kid.
Some of the chat around this game this week has been very kind, but not really very realistic.
Yes.
Comparing Ealing to Exeter would be up there with that, with that description. I think they were quoted as saying, "Saracens are wearing a like challenge from Ealing." Not sure that's quite what's going to happen.
Exeter, when I played against them 11 years ago now.
I love that little drop.
Maybe.
Don't you love that you can just drop that in?
Yeah.
Go on. Carry on, Phil.
No, that's kind of it. That is the whole point. That Exeter, when they first got promoted, there might be some comparisons because that Exeter team did bring in a lot of talent, but it still wasn't. It was multiple years before it was able to compete at the top level of the Premiership. And Saracens are the top of the team that they've got. The team they put out today is the top. It is a world-class team. So it's not surprising that Ealing have been hammered. That doesn't mean that Ealing are a terrible team. It just really shows the state of Saracens.
Yeah, and I mean, to draw a parallel, we had the French top 14 playoff game, which we'll talk about in a bit, between Bayonne and Biarritz, which was the third bottom team in the top 14 playing against the third top team in the Pro D2. And I would have, just to draw that parallel, I would have loved to have seen how Ealing would get on against Worcester. I still think Worcester would win.
Worcester would batter them, judging by this.
Well, I don't think
I
they would
don't
batter.
know.
I
mean,
I
look
think
at-
Saracens would batter Worcester.
Yeah,
There is that argument as well. Yes.
Saracens, Ealing are not the first team to have that Saracens team. put
Worcester
60
are the
points on
outlier in
them.
the Premiership, aren't they, as to like how poor they are at the moment?
Yeah, I know they had 3 games cancelled through COVID, which they all got wins for. But so they may well have won some of those games that were cancelled. But remember,
It's unlikely, which is like, I understand why Saracens had to get relegated. I understand that.
Yeah.
Action had to be taken. But is it really fair to have a team like that down in the Championship? I don't mean on the club itself, but I mean all the other people who are competing in that competition is distorted for effectively 1 year. They do like playing against Saracens if you're not chasing promotion, but Ealing are chasing promotion. I'd argue it isn't particularly very useful from a sporting context to get the greatest team, or one of the greatest teams. And they're pretty handy.
Yeah. Well, certainly Leicester this year are a lot better than Leicester last year.
And actually, Leicester, with the team they have now, because there's so many kids coming through, they could probably have put out a similar team in the Championship. And it wouldn't have done them any harm. They would have come back up. And
Yeah.
actually, that Leicester team would be fine for next year as well.
Well, Leicester they've effectively benefited from relegation without relegation because they've used the opportunity of no relegation to totally clear house and restructure their team, which is what would normally happen if you look back at, say, Northampton or Quins when they got relegated, successfully bounced back up immediately, unlike someone like Bristol or Leeds or well, London Wasps did bounce back up immediately, but
they did.
Not for the better. But then obviously Quins and Northampton went on to win it because they cleared some of the deadwood, got some of the talented youngsters coming through the ranks. I mean, in Quins' case, guys like Monya, I think Brown, Kerr were either of that vintage or slightly afterwards.
Interestingly, Kerr has got his own relegation story
With Leeds.
with Leeds.
With Leeds.
Yeah.
I was chatting to Glenn Delaney yesterday at Sandy Park.
How is Glenn?
He's wonderful. Cracking bloke as ever.
One of my favourite coaches.
Interesting perspective on Scarlets and stuff. Much of which I had to ask him questions and infer from his strategic answers what the truth was because
Sounds to me he's not been treated particularly well there.
well, he hasn't said that.
No, I've said that.
Yeah, he certainly hasn't, but a really good bloke. But no, it was interesting because we were reminiscing because Steve-O, the Exeter press guy, me and him were having a good old chat about the Championship when Glenn was in charge of Nottingham, and Glenn was just reminding me at that time there were 5 or 6. It might have been in your era, Phil. 5 or 6 genuine teams that were gunning for promotion. Really competitive. Plymouth Albion.
Yeah.
Exeter,
Plymouth Albion.
Plymouth Albion, Exeter, Bristol, Cornish Pirates,
Cornish Pirates, yeah.
Nottingham.
Yeah, Nottingham.
Well, I was
'Cause
talking,
Nottingham went to Notts County's ground for
Yeah.
a period
I
of
was
time.
talking to someone who's involved with Plymouth Albion now, and they are looking to build something there. And they were talking about the crowds they used to get, and
Yeah,
it used to be a big old club.
Well, my brother used to play there, and
Mm.
yeah, they used to get big crowds.
Danward, that Danward Smith
Dan
area.
Smith, Kenny Fisselau, and Nick Sestere, who went on to Exeter, and a couple of other players. Yeah, they're a really good team. Anyway, so yeah, Championship final. Watch the second leg on BT Sport next weekend. It's gonna go down to the wire.
Ooh.
Are you working that one?
Tell me your work.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just it'll be fascinating to watch, and it'll be a real good game to watch. So
Yeah.
do not miss it on BT Sport.
Oh,
next
it's going to be
weekend.
fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, you get to see some of the best players in the world
That's
play.
very true. That's legitimately true. So, Anthony Jempson, good evening to you. Questions, thoughts on the live chat? He says, Anthony says, CrossFit Tim? Yeah, no big deal, mate, but yeah.
You two talk about little else other than
Well,
CrossFit
what
at
is
the
there to talk about
moment.
in life? What is that? What else is there to talk about?
Other than big lifts
Nothing.
and wads.
Yeah. Only WODs. That's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jason Lane says, has the dungeon changed? He's not watched for a few weeks.
We shuffle things around a little bit.
We've had a little shuffle. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe, and then you'll get a little notification.
We haven't
when
been
we
on
go
for
live.
the last few weeks because Tim's been away, and
Yeah,
we
that's my
don't
bad.
have the right cables.
Which we need to sort for
We need-
Lions month.
Yes, we do need to sort out
Let's do that. We'll get that. Anyway,
cables.
that's a conversation.
Yeah.
A separate conversation. A question for JB. How can you square prior statements on the pod about not wanting to hear any players' opinions on politics and health, but then back Laws coming out with politicised interviews and stuff?
Don't think I have.
Has Courtney Laws said something else?
No, not I know of.
No. Okay, cool. What's before we get into the rugby? What's the quick news this week?
So one of the things, I'm astonished, JB, you're not wearing your beloved Benetton.
Celtic Nations
In the Mushroom Cup.
in the Mushroom Cup.
Yes. After
Best Celtic Nation by a country mile.
they are. So Benetton, they had to beat, or at least get a losing point. Oh, sorry, a try bonus draw against Ospreys to go through. That never had to happen because Ospreys had a few COVID cases. The game got cancelled. So before the weekend even took place, Benetton were popping the Prosecco, I assume, given where they're from,
Absolutely.
to celebrate winning the whole thing, finishing top of the Rainbow Cup
Incredible.
North. And then on Saturday, the Bulls travelled to the Sharks in Durban to see who would be winning Rainbow Cup South.
And then?
And the Bulls won. The Bulls beat the Sharks
So now
in
what?
Durban. So the Bulls now travel to northern Italy to play against Benetton.
Is that going to be allowed to go ahead?
As I
Mind you,
understand,
Europe's opening up now, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
as I understand it, it's the stadium in Treviso they'll be playing.
Do we-
Fantastic.
Do
This-
we
this
think
come
they're
in-
going to have an Ealing-style shock when they face off against each other?
It's an interesting question. I know.
None of the South African international players are going to be playing.
Are they not?
No,
So well,
they're not allowed to travel. They're not allowed to.
Oh yeah, of course.
Ah.
Because the travel was interesting. Yeah.
So
obviously-
Benetton could be global champs.
Wow.
Yeah, Vermaelen's injured anyway. There might be a few kind of ex-Springboks. Someone like I don't know if Trevor Nyakane's in the squad this time around for the Springboks, but he plays for the Bulls. So Benetton might legitimately have a shot.
Yeah.
Imagine.
That will be an interesting game.
I'll
It
watch
will.
that. I'll definitely watch that.
Malachi Fekitoa
Yes.
is going to be playing for his homeland of Tonga.
Just don't
Yes.
get this. Why should they have to jump through so many bloody hoops?
What are
I
the
know.
hoops, and why can't Charles Piatel do it?
So the hoops are you have to play. There are certain specific sevens registering tournaments that allow you to. There's a loophole they've kind of left open.
Oh, there was chat about Carl Ferns and Stefan Armitage doing
Playing for
that.
France,
to
yeah.
play for
Playing for
France.
Imagine
Yeah,
Carl
yeah.
Burns, Stephen Armitage just playing sevens.
Yeah.
I can go very well or very poorly.
But obviously it's not about the sevens. It's about them qualifying to play at the next World Cup, which Fekitoa is. Sir Charles can't because the Monaco Sevens tournament is when Bristol are playing.
Oh,
So
And
if Bristol were less successful this season, Piatel could have re-registered for Tonga.
that feels such a wrong way to approach it.
To leave the loop
Particularly as he goes to Monaco on holiday so often.
where he can afford to.
Yeah,
Well, as
Uh,
soon as he retires, he'll be moving all of his financial affairs to Monaco.
rightly so.
It does feel a bit wrong that there is this loophole that everyone knows is there that has not been closed, but is some people can't access it because they play for certain clubs. That just feels wrong. You
Yeah.
either close the loophole, which I don't think is right, or you
I
make
think
it
this-
far more open and transparent and just say, look, if you want to switch, there are certain conditions around it, but let's actually put it in place and you don't have to have these stupid qualifying events.
Yeah, there must be a reason for this loophole to remain open. There must be some legal reason, because I assume that it's things to do with Olympic qualification, or the things you need for Olympic qualification are
you're right.
different, aren't they, to
I think you're right.
IRB, World Rugby rules.
Yeah, and that it might be that is the reason for the loophole, that you've effectively got two branches of qualification
Yeah.
rules.
Whatever the case, this strikes me as another example of rugby doing a really good job at nearly getting it right.
How do you mean?
Well, this is so rugby. It's so rugby to go, we're going to allow this to happen. Oh, but by the way, only if this and this and this happens, which make no logical sense.
Fekitoa being allowed to switch
Yeah.
seems like the right thing.
I agree completely.
Piatel being
Piatel
stopped
not-
because he's at a club that's doing well feels
Yeah,
it just feels wrong.
the case that the two
He's
of
not
them,
available, is he?
the two of them, if they both have the intent to do it, they're both in almost identical positions. I.e., they played for the All Blacks a long period of time ago. They played relatively few caps, although that shouldn't really matter. They are both Tongan or certainly of Tongan descent and want to play for Tonga. So
and I don't
they
believe
should
this
be
is
allowed
legal.
to.
This is World Rugby. This isn't a law thing. This is a World Rugby
Yeah, this should be a
regulation.
governing body.
So they could
type
get
thing.
around it if they wanted to.
Yeah, I do think you should have. You should be allowed one switch. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, I would have switch in probably more controlled parameters than you would, but I would
Maybe
allow
if
people
you're over
to
30, you
switch.
can have a switch or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I don't know what it
even
is.
However
even
you
under
come to
30,
it,
yeah,
however you
yeah,
come to
but I would have it. Yeah. What I wouldn't want is, say, I don't know, Tuisova and Randrander, for example, being able to now switch from Fiji to play for England or France or
England
the
would
All
like that.
Blacks. I mean, as an Englishman, I'd like Randrander playing,
I'd take him.
but that would just feel total
Every game,
100%.
but he's a Fijian and he should have played for Fiji.
Any other news?
Oh yeah, there was an interesting one with Tom Youngs.
Yeah, okay.
So Tom Youngs was charged.
Oh, this is back to last week's Leicester Bristol.
Yes. So after the fracas, the event, everything that we discussed last week was really surrounding the Lam Afoa, is it Carly situation?
Tempest.
Tempest, yeah, situation. And then evidently after that, I think after the game, Tom Youngs is reported to have said, "You're not effing strong enough to have given a penalty try to Ian Tempest." So he has then been charged for bringing the game into disrepute and also disrespecting the officials. I don't.
Fair, by the sound of it.
It does sound fair. Yeah, yeah.
Or at least worthy of being brought in front of the authorities.
Yeah. Now, let's see how it plays out.
Yeah.
I think he probably should get a combination of a fine or a ban. I can understand his frustration though at the situation,
Yeah.
so I think that should be considered.
Yeah, but we haven't heard anything yet about, well, one, I just mentioned Nathan Hughes. We haven't heard anything about Nathan Hughes doing exactly what Harry Williams did last year against Saracens for Exeter, going on the field when he was a replacement with the bib on.
Oh yeah.
And we haven't heard anything about Pat Lam, have we?
Yes, we have.
Have we?
Yeah. So I can confirm this. The RFU have emailed Bristol and are launching an inquiry. So this was confirmed by Bristol on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever their press conference day was. That was said on the Zoom call. Bit disappointed with how Lam handled the whole thing, actually.
What, last week or in the press conference? Both?
In the press call, yeah. So he spoke about, well, he said he's delighted that there's an inquiry happening because it'll allow everyone to put stuff into context, and once everything's in context, presumably they'll come out smelling of roses.
And John Foa might be a year older then, which he can then bring up.
Yeah. Absolutely right. He's nearly 40 and there's COVID about. What? I don't agree with Lam on that at all. I don't agree with him because it is in context. It couldn't be in any more context, could it? I mean, there's cameras, several cameras on you. There's microphones on you.
Well, there were bits we didn't hear.
Yeah.
The one bit we don't know is, did Afoa go on himself, which I think he probably did, or did Lam tell him to go on? But that's the only bit we don't know.
Yeah.
And that can only go badly for Pat Lam. Because as we understand it, Afoa just went on. So it could only get worse.
Yeah, I think so. We finding out a bit more, getting a bit more context. It
So
might
that is
it might
definitely
really
happening, though,
it
that's
might
good.
really
Yeah.
something.
So the RFU are
But-
definitely doing something with it.
But you're right. I think that will probably just demonstrate that Lam took the decision to say that Afoa was injured himself, and Afoa then stepped up and said, "No, boss, I'm not injured." But
Yeah.
it was. I don't think Lam ever consulted Afoa to say, "Are you injured?" or anything like that. I think it was a
So
a unilateral decision from Lam.
So he thinks, or at least he's saying, that once it's all in context, it'll all come out, and obviously he'll be proved right, which is fine. There's that's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. But he's also using it as cover, in my opinion, to not answer any questions about the event, because he now goes to, well, there's an inquiry, and until the inquiry has been heard, we won't be saying anything else. Yeah. And I think there are two things going on which he should, well, one which he can class as covered by the inquiry, another which I think he should address. So the things covered by the inquiry presumably are going to be things more like, were the rules broken? What did the the rules say? How do we adjust the rules of the competition to, yada 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 yada? It'll be very technical, won't it? What I don't think it will address in that actual inquiry will be how he treated Ian Tempest, and I don't think anyone can say that he treated Ian Tempest well. And even if, in context, heat of the moment, we all say silly things. I don't hold him particularly not responsible. I don't think he's an awful person for what he did. But I do think there's certainly some scope there to say, yeah, I put too much pressure on Tempest. I shouldn't have spoke to a Tempest like that. And saying that a referee has liability for players' injury was bang out of order. I will never ever do that again. You don't need an inquiry for that.
That last bit. I mean, compare. Tom Youngs has said you're not effing strong enough. After the game, after the Leicester have lost to Tempest, is how much worse than that is to say, well, you're liable if he gets injured. I think the Lamb thing is actually worse.
Far worse. Far worse.
Me.
Tom Youngs is kicking out, lashing out verbally, isn't he? Because he's lost a game. He shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have said it, but he did say it. And ultimately, I think, from his point of view, he's pointing out a statement of fact. Like, Ian Tempest could have given a penalty try on a different day.
That neither are excusable.
But yeah,
we're just deciding on the magnitude. But no,
both are wrong. Both are definitely wrong.
There is a material difference, right? So that's what he said. What Youngs has said is wrong. What Lamb said was potentially manipulative, and that's why I think that is wrong. Because Young said it after the game. They still shouldn't have said it.
Yeah, we went through this last week. I do agree. So thank you. I didn't know that they've confirmed there is something happening. So, right, we'll watch.
But we've not heard anything about Nathan Hughes. You're right about that one. That's a weird one.
Well, there was a couple of people at Sandy Park who mentioned it to me. They said, "Have you heard anything about that?" Because they were understandably, and I think I pointed it out on last week's thing. It's exactly like Harry Williams.
I'm actually surprised, that there's not an inquiry alongside disciplinaries. So I would say the disciplinaries are for breaking the laws of the game, as Tom Youngs is finding out. Same should happen to Pat Lamb. Same should happen to whoever else spoke to a referee in any way disparagingly or in any way that could try and manipulate him. That should just happen. And then the inquiry can deal with, are these rules fit for purpose? Do we need to rewrite them? Were people, trying to circumvent them? That kind of thing.
Right.
There should be two things.
Rather than all just purely punitive, it's like, is there something we need to actually address here? Yeah, that's cool. Well, let's talk about a bit of rugby then. And I'm for once, JB, I'm 100% happy to start with a game involving your Sale Sharks. What a game of rugby at Sandy Park.
Best not talk about it.
You were there, Tim.
Hey, anyone see the Cal Bayliss try? Cal Bayliss, that's the guy I used to play with, Josh Bayliss.
Oh, Josh Bayliss scored an absolute wonderful
try.
Serious wheels.
Was it a good try?
Serious wheels.
Amazing try. Amazing
well
try.
done, Stuart Hooper.
Yeah, well done, Stuart Hooper. Let's talk about Stuart Hooper.
No, what a game at Sandy Park. It was one of those days I felt so lucky and privileged to be able to be there and watch that. What a game of rugby.
I don't understand this game. I don't know enough about rugby. I found this out.
It was a hell of a game. And this is another game. So that the Sale game.
Is everything all right?
Is the house falling down?
Yeah, they know what's going on upstairs.
What was the Sale game a few weeks ago? It wasn't the Quins game. Sale put in an amazing performance a few weeks ago against Bristol.
Yeah.
Sale's performance against Bristol it made for an incredible spectacle of rugby.
Sensational.
This was an incredible spectacle of rugby. This was a brilliant game. And from a neutral, wearing a neutral hat, I really, really enjoyed every minute. The story as it unfolded from, obviously, Sale, they know they've got to go for the 5 points to nil, 5 league points to nil, the 4-try win, and stop Exeter getting anything. They came out of the blocks so well. They were so aggressive. They were so clinical. They created space out wide. Their power through the middle allowed them space out wide. They scored that try in 2 minutes? Under 2 minutes? And you thought, this is on. And then they score another try through McGinty, and they scored 3 tries in that first.
Well, when that third try went over, it's like, this is done.
Yeah, that was just after half time,
100%,
wasn't it?
100%.
Like, God,
and
they're going to do this.
From doing the interviews before the game, I don't know if you heard Alex Anderson pre-match.
No, I didn't.
I know you heard him post-match. Pre-match, I'll put it this way. I walked from the interview position up to the press room, and I said to the guys, Ali Eakin and Bod and Sarah and Glenn Delaney, and I said, Sale are winning this. There was I listened to Alex Anderson, and I just came away going,
Yeah.
Sale are winning this, and yeah, you're right. They started on fire.
They were
50 minutes. They were. It wasn't just that they were on top. They were dominating Exeter. And crucially, they didn't let Exeter get into their 22. Because Alex Anderson mentioned this: 58% of Exeter's points originate in the 22.
Really?
yeah.
So mostly from a penalty kick to the corner.
Yeah, they're so
50%
clinical.
of their points. So Sale clearly had a plan of don't let them get in our 22, and if they do get in our 22, Tom Curry attack every breakdown.
Get it.
Tom Curry because he came on the early.
Yeah.
So there's just another tale of the game which will have consequences for next week, which was goes off and he's been involved in everything up to that point.
Yeah.
His grubber kick, his crossfield grubber kick.
I mean, if that could have been a third try in like 15 minutes.
Yeah. So he went off. Cam Neill went off, and
Yeah.
obviously Cam Neill for Ben Curry is, well, if anything, it's an upgrade on the pitch, but it's still an injury, and the biggest injury I think for Sale is it only happened in the 78th minute or whatever it was, but AJ going off,
Yeah.
and AJ being kind of stretchered off.
It's bad, isn't it? It's not looking promising.
They've got this amazing, enormous, well-drilled pack, but everything goes through AJ, and AJ creates the wide for the crossfield kicks or the balls to go out wide because his time on the ball and his decision making is so good. And the try that he scored, I don't know if you noticed who was marking AJ when AJ scored that try.
Simmons?
No,
Who was it?
Slade, because well, no, not because they put Slade opposite AJ, because the whole Exeter backline had been drawn in. So AJ was standing in his usual position, but all the Exeter backline had all been drawn in, so that when AJ goes, it's actually Slade that he's against, and he could have done anything. He could have crossfield, he could have two hands, and there's a walk in, or he can go himself, and he's got all of those options available to him.
And the same space was available out wide when he gave the kick for the pass for Byron McGuigan, the kick for Reed. So yeah, they were finding space out wide, which is exactly what Exeter do. That's what I found amazing for those 50 minutes. It was like all of the things Sale did really well is what Exeter do really well, and then Exeter get a red card.
Yeah,
and that makes them better, and Sale just let the foot off the gas.
And weirdly, this is Sale's training. Like, this is what Sale do. Like they should know how to deal with this because that's what they do. They get 2 yellow cards or a red card, and then off to the races.
Yeah,
all the teams for it to happen to against.
You've got to give credit to Exeter because
phenomenal. They're phenomenal.
Unbelievable comeback.
But they are phenomenal. That's it, isn't it? I mean, I don't think I need to say too much about Exeter because, well, they've been phenomenal for years.
But it is the sign of such a good team to come back from that position. You're 19-3 down. You get a red card. There's less than 30 minutes on the clock. This is going to be a Sale win. This is set up for a Sale win.
And it was looking like not just a Sale win. The most likely outcome was Sale 5 points to 0.
Correct. Yeah.
But the one thing that happened for me, and I only thought about this afterwards, so I didn't actually. And plus time was short, so I wouldn't have had the chance to ask Alex Anderson about this after the game. But Manu Tuolangi was swapped for Rob Dupree, and that was when it all went wrong for Sale. Because and it's only when you think back to that game in those first 50 minutes, the number of times when you thought, "Oh, Tuolangi's going to bash this one up," and exactly as you said, Phil, Exeter were narrow. Part of the reason Exeter were narrow is because they've got this threat running straight down the middle that they're all wary of. And AJ just
and they should be wary of.
And AJ just uses all the space. When you have Rob Dupree and Sam James in your centres, Exeter can go, right, we've got this.
But weirdly, Rob Dupree came on for Manu a few weeks ago, did he? Yeah, he did because Van Rensburg was on the. Well, who did Rob Dupree come on for? This is going to frustrate me.
Well, it doesn't matter, but it ended up being AJ, Rob Dupree, and Sam James as your centre, as your midfield.
The reason it surprised me is because the ready-made replacement for Manu is Van Rensburg.
Yeah.
And twice he's gone with Dupree over Van Rensburg to replace Manu.
That's not what happened yesterday. Rob Dupree was named as number 23 in the squad, but his wife gave birth, so he stayed.
Rohan.
Rowan.
Oh,
oh, sorry. I thought you said Van. Who did you say?
So Van Rensburg,
Yeah.
when he's been on the bench with Rob Dupree,
that's normally a like for like for
Oh, I see what
Tuilagi.
you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
so he's come on for Manu. And I
Yes.
think, oh, I thought, no. Anyway,
And that is a really interesting point because you're right. They didn't actually use Manu that much, but the threat of Manu is enough to make, as I mentioned before, that Exeter defence narrow. I think it happened multiple times that they managed to exploit it. That's interesting, but I think there's a lot that both teams can learn about the other team from this game, which makes next week all the more fascinating.
On the long drive back from Exeter to Sale, I was thinking about this a lot, going out. Oh, what does Sale do without AJ? And Rob Dupree's a decent 10, solid.
Okay.
He's not AJ.
no, he's not.
He's really.
As I
not,
said 2 years ago, no one believed me,
he's not AJ.
did they? No one believed me.
But
About what?
That AJ was not far better. Is my preferred option at.
But I also want to
Wow.
think back a couple of years. Sale, a couple of years ago, played much more of their rugby through Faf. And they can dial that up a little bit and actually
Yes.
still be really threatening.
They can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think they did play better rugby when they played off Faf. And the reason.
Many more tries.
Yeah.
This season, they've not scored many tries. Their defence has just been.
What tends to happen, right? People think that playing off the 9 is a bit negative, like, you're crushing it up or whatnot. What, in fact, you're doing is you're Tommy. So, yeah, but don't mention his name.
No.
Anyway,
But he said that because you'd mentioned, I'd said how loud Brentford Stadium was with
Yeah.
only 4,000 people in it, and you said, I wonder if it's like spreading, whether spreading out actually makes it louder in some way, and that's exactly what the case is.
did you read his candle analogy?
Yes, candles spread, and if you all spread out 2 meters, there's more space for it to.
This
bounce around.
is the future, isn't it? Spreading out the crowd. I tell you what I do like about the thinned crowds is how obvious people are. We're watching the football today, and you can actually watch the individual football fans going absolutely wild.
Yeah, when the goal went in, everyone rushes down.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with themselves.
On the flip side, I really like seeing just a massive throng of people at the cricket.
Yeah.
just getting on it.
Well,
I love that. I love that. In fact, I love that way more. And I want full crowds back. But interestingly, with stadiums, the one thing that is just unbearable on the negative is how loud the PA systems are. Particularly Sale Sharks is the worst.
what?
So ridiculously
No, it's
loud.
not.
And part of the reason is because they've got it turned up to the volume it would be for a full match day. But all this space for it to bounce off of.
I think
all
sales
these
PA.
walls and-
I think sales PA is really good.
No, it's.
I love it.
I love the guys who do it, and we want to do some work with them. So I'm not disparaging the guys that
No,
do
I
it.
think it's
just
really
too loud.
good.
It's too loud.
I like it.
It's too loud.
Not loud enough, if anything.
Yeah, if anything, it needs to dial up even more.
Exeter Chiefs, well played.
Fair play,
Absolutely
Exeter.
love it. Oh, still down. Streams down. Apparently,
Yeah, it's back
Ooh.
up now.
it's back up. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So just on sale then, before we move on from sale, the only results that I could game plan for, which was an absolute negative, was getting hammered. That was the only one really. A close loss, fine.
A close loss could be very good because you can see
Yeah.
what you can do.
Close win, fine.
Close win, great.
A
Yeah.
big win. Do I need to tell you about that? This was the one I didn't see, which is a narrow loss after absolutely dominating. And I think
And
it's,
3 injuries.
yeah, it's really, really bad. Now, it's a situation to win the Premiership now.
well, Exeter will probably be without Janus Kirsten, who had that big concussion. Well, it appeared to be a concussion. We don't know, but
Mhm.
the HIA protocols mean he may miss out. And they-
Is Jack Vermeulen available to come back in? Because that would be the obvious.
He was not suited up in his kit, but he was walking around. He didn't look too injured, so he may well be available, which is pretty much like for like.
Yeah.
Sam Skinner will be unavailable.
Mhm.
Johnny Gray may or may not be fit,
Okay.
so that could be a big hole filled or gap
Yeah,
missing,
yeah.
one way or the other. And the other one is Dave Ewers may end up being unavailable. which would be
Ooh,
a big loss for
Huge,
Exeter.
because he's really coming
Yeah.
into his own again,
Well,
hasn't he?
That,
and
it
if
would
you
depend on
lose-
him being cited, so that we can talk briefly about the 2 card decisions.
But if you lose, if Exeter lost Dave Ewers, Janis Kirsten, Jack Vermeulen, and Sam Skinner, they are their 4 enormous second row /6/back rows,
100%.
And they are enormous.
and they are all 4 of them are enormous. All 4 of them are really good, and they're all kind of like for like replacements for one another. So if you lose all of those, and that's probably the worst position to lose those players when you're going to be playing Sale. Yeah, if you lose those and then you're going to play Harlequins, okay, we can deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and the other thing was, this game, it sort of, true characters came out, I think. And what I mean by that is Exeter started kicking points rather than just going for the corners, which is kind of telling when you're Exeter, when they deviate from what makes them so great. Well, did they deviate?
I mean, did they only do it for the final?
No.
The first kick and the last kick.
The first kick.
First
and
kick?
that's it,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, of course, because they were
Yeah.
19-3.
So
Yeah.
I thought that was quite interesting. But
Yeah.
even more interesting was the attitude of Sanderson post game. First time I've ever heard him sounding like a fairly conventional DOR, talking about things like set piece. And to me, it's like, okay, yeah, they're going to go back now and they're going to be even better.
Because the set piece was, Sale did very well at a scrum early on. And then after that, I think Exeter probably got on top of them, both in the scrum and the line out.
Bevan Rod didn't have a good day.
Yeah. And it's interesting that Bevan Rod, who
Didn't start.
who started against La Rochelle, got dropped to the bench for this game.
Well, they just got 2 very good loose heads. I think if I was going to back a loose head in particular to do scrimmaging, it'd be Harrison all day long.
Yeah. But
Uh,
Hepburn got change against Oosthuizen in a couple of big scrums. Sorry, on the other side, obviously.
Quick one. How was Sanderson when you interviewed him after the game?
Intense,
He was very
Dev-
intense.
devastated. You could tell that. Trying to take the positives, trying to lick wounds, and I thought he said all the right things. We're going to use this. We're going to use this pain.
This is we're going to use this for
When he said that,
motivation.
I thought, ooh, right. He says it right at the end of right at the end of your interview. Ooh, yeah. I bet they are actually. I bet it's going to be.
That is,
They were hurting.
yeah, that is going to be very, very interesting.
They think that they'll win it. They think they'll win the whole thing.
if they beat Exeter, which they definitely can do, they 100% can beat Exeter at Sandy Park.
Well,
If they do that,
Yeah.
Who would back against them?
the teams that would be loving this the most, the Harlequins and Bristol. They're going, oh yeah, another one of those lads.
Yeah.
Loads
I
of
don't
injuries,
know.
massive intense
Another
battle.
3 injuries for each team, please.
I don't know. Do you look at that Exeter Sale game and think, I'm looking forward to facing one of those teams?
No, you'd go, yeah, punch each other out a bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
Wear
maybe.
each other down and then soften each other up, and then we'll take advantage.
Yeah.
Each lose 3 more of their best players, and then we'll play them with a
Steel, sharpen steel.
until the point that it doesn't, until there's no steel left to sharpen.
There is, so we're going to have these 2 conflicting semis, aren't we? The absolute blood and thunder.
Talk about the 2 cards
Go on.
briefly.
Yeah.
So,
There's-
Oh, the red card was not a red card in my mind.
and the yellow card probably was more of a red card than the red
Yeah.
card.
I thought the red card was
The Sam Skinner one, tackling
Oh.
Faf.
Yeah,
it's a horrendous collision, but rugby's a horrendous sport. So
yeah, and I think, well, I'm certain there is a wrap. He tries to wrap, and
Oh,
I would
100% he wraps.
definitely question whether the initial contact was shoulder.
Hip, almost 90 degrees.
it's just a
It's one of those
massive
coaching boys.
collision.
If you gave him a red card, and I think Rob Baxter is probably going to say, it's just one of them, mate. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll have to get more 5'6" players.
I just don't
Start
like
running
it.
around.
So I don't like it because I understand why the laws have changed. The disclaimer, right? But I watched that with no sound, so I can tell you guys are discussing it with the benefit of listening to the conversation. I watched it with no sound. I was racking my head.
Oh no, the comms were all going, yeah, that's a red card. That's a red card.
Oh, right, okay. So I was racking my brain as to like, it looks like a red card for someone who doesn't know anything about rugby, but if you follow the actual letter of the law,
There was one side, one of the angles. It did look bad because you can't see the point of contact.
Move your head
and wet as
and
well.
where it,
and it flicks.
sprays the water, flicks up. It looks more dramatic.
brilliant.
It's like when you watch Rocky and someone gets punched, the
Yeah.
sweat goes everywhere. It looks incredible in slow.
Yeah. Don't forget
4K.
don't forget to spit your gum shield out.
Exactly. So, but one of the angles you're like, oh God, and then the other angle, you're like, well, no, he's wrapped. It's a kind of shoulder to shoulder, and obviously, Fafi's giving away 6 stone to Sam Skinner. So
And 2 feet.
Yeah.
So it's I was surprised and a little bit disappointed that's well actually disappointed first.
Red card. Although I was quite happy it was yellow as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
Hard.
hell of a game.
Did either of you see the yellow card for Zach Henry in Wasps Leicester?
No.
So talk
Which
to me.
was an interesting one. I think was probably handled well.
Final game for the Tigers.
Yeah. What do you make of that? Actually, they're getting rid of all their backup fly halves.
Yeah, fine.
Johnny McPhillips is gone.
Fine.
Henry's gone. And I'm sure that
I like Zach Henry. I think he'll do well.
And Johnny McPhillips is a very capable, solid, dependable
But-
squad 10.
But,
Sounds-
they're not George Ford, and fine, they've got Freddie Burns.
it sounds like they might. It sounds like they're probably in the market for someone else.
Coming through who we're not aware
What
of.
I've heard of.
Tell us about the yellow.
So Marcus Watson breaks down the right wing. He passes to I want to say Robson, but that might be wrong. But just after he passes, he goes into Zach Henry, and he kind of jumps. But it's not a jump into contact, but he is as he's running.
Marcus Watson jumps.
So yeah, Marcus Watson jumps. So he is kind of off the ground, and Zach Henry goes really low, really like kneecap low, and almost half pulls out. So he ends up standing up as Marcus Watson jumps into him, and it looks in full speed. It looks horrific because Marcus Watson kind of goes up and over, legs in the air, lands on his head, and it was given as a yellow card. And they actually, I think it was Luke Pearce, praised both Zach Henry for going low, but also the unlikely. It's not a reckless challenge. It's an incredibly unlucky collision, but then still gave it as a yellow card. But
I don't understand that.
But you can still I was glad it was only given as a yellow card. I actually could have said incident because there was some fault on the tackled player, but I was just glad it wasn't a red card because if you watch that full speed, a lot of people's instant reaction would be
Red.
bloody hell, red card. Player landing on his head
I
from a
wanna see
tackle
it now.
player. It probably won't even make the highlight. Like it was because it was only a yellow. It's not that big a talking point, but it was a weird incident.
Yeah. So don't want to talk anymore about Zach Henry going to second division in France then?
Nah.
Or Johnny McPhillips?
So Johnny McPhillips is following the Tom Brady route, isn't he?
Carcassonne?
Carcassonne.
Is he?
He is.
Agen.
I'm sure one of them is going to Carcassonne.
Yeah.
I thought it was Johnny McPhillips.
I thought Johnny or Breathe. It was. I would have. Maybe it is. Although I feel I would have known. I would have noticed that because.
Because I was in my head I was like, well, this was a well trodden route. Leicester Tigers, Carcassonne, selling photovoltaic panels.
Exactly
I
right.
can't find that
Very
video
good.
anywhere.
Very
I can't find that video, and I want to see it now because all I've got in my head is that bit in Any Given Sunday. When is it? Is it Steaming Willie Beeman, or is it where he gets hit and does the somersault and
flips.
lands in the end zone?
Steam
With the ball.
Willie Beeman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as cool as that. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh.
It is so Johnny McPhillips is to Carcassonne. Zach Henry's to Pau.
Well,
How? That's it.
pow. While we're talking that, how top 14 playoff Bayonne
Oh my god.
against Biarritz?
Do you know someone sent me?
Awesome.
Oh my
Somebody
God.
sent me that. Well, actually, they sent it on the same group, so we got it on our fantasy rugby group, and I watched it, and the most immediate thing I thought is, wow, Biarritz are playing Bayonne. I didn't realise Bayonne were in the top 14. I did know Biarritz were in Pro D2. That in itself is an enormous game. Just that in itself is an enormous game. Because that as the playoff,
as recently because they are a few miles apart,
Mhm.
and as recently as 2015, they were talking about merging to form a single super club, which obviously has been talked about for years and fallen down many times for years. But yeah, to have that level of history, that level of rivalry, and then be playing in the one goes up, one goes down, or one stays up and one stays down scenario is incredible. And then to get to the penalty
3-3 at
shootout.
full time, 6-6 at the end of extra time,
So
to penalty shootout with kicks from the 22, and I can't remember the name of the Bayonne guy that missed it, the winger, left winger, and then up steps Stefan Armitage, slots it over. And what I liked about the kicks as well, under so much pressure, you had these guys that obviously just do it in training.
Yeah.
Before training, yeah, I do a few kicks.
For what
Step up,
reason? Oh, well, you never know.
Nudge. What a moment for Stefan Armitage. And I loved seeing a pitch invasion.
Yes, I love that
How
as well.
good was a pitch invasion?
Go on there. Go on. Go celebrate. Try watching that clip, and you can't do it. Neither of you can do it now. With no context. So all I saw was that thing. So I'm trying to work out why this Armitage is good. I thought, oh bloody hell, it's a penalty shootout.
So you think you were confused watching that? So I didn't have any of that context at all, and I was just checking on Saturday night. I was checking through the results on my phone. Let me find it wherever it is. There you go, Biarritz Bordeaux. So I just checking top 14 results, and I checked the last 5 minutes, and now it's got 100 minutes. So it had it as like 80 minutes. All of these things happening. I was like, hang on a minute. So kick at goal, Jermaine. Kick at goal Hart. Kick at goal Odea. Kick at goal Bosch. Kick at goal Rue. Like, what on earth is going?
It takes you a little while.
What on earth is going on in this game? And I was like, are all these guys retiring and they've just like given penalties away and they're all having shots at goal?
Originally I thought they might have got the wrong Armitage. Of course they didn't.
Here we go. The clip.
Oh, awesome.
So
awesome.
So the
Zach Henry.
Wasps attacking this way. This is the Marcus Watson. So Wasps attacking this way. The ball is about to go to the right wing, and Marcus Watson is about to break.
I love watching rugby in beautiful sunny conditions as well.
Yeah, not
Robson breaking. One pass, two passes. Here he goes. So that
looks like.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So
Let the boys play.
We'll skip forward a bit on this.
Yeah,
now.
I understand what you said. Let the boys play.
I can't see a thing now.
So it's nicely in the shadows.
Hard to know what to do with that.
I'm glad Luke Pearce said that's not a red card.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Step. He goes low.
What's the coaching point there for Zach Henry?
Don't stand up with players.
Yeah.
He understood.
If anything,
that's Marcus Watson's
I know.
fault.
It's
totally Marcus Watson's fault.
Well, I don't even think it's his
not
fault.
Not
yeah,
fault. The reason he flipped is because of the actions of himself.
Yeah, and it's he maybe jumps a tiny, but he is running, so it's anything. I mean, it's definitely shouldn't be a red card for me.
No,
it's
not
just
red card, is it?
that is a rugby. That is
one of the very few ones which looks better in slow motion.
Yeah, it does look better in slow motion.
Slow that down a bit more, please.
No one did anything wrong.
That doesn't look good though.
Oh,
yeah, but it's. I don't think it's
Fine. If you want to give that, fine. I don't think there's anything to gain by giving anything for that.
Yeah,
no one was hurt. It wasn't a dangerous landing. They're both. It's just a rugby incident for my money, but fine. I understand people are going to go, oh, red card, fine, whatever.
No, but you are right on the. What is the coaching point for Zach Henry? Because he is as low as he possibly can go.
Can't get any lower.
He can't. He definitely can't get any lower. And he's definitely not trying to do anything.
Yeah, and also players are told to remain in contact and bring a player to ground safely.
Yeah, and he does remain in contact.
So
he doesn't drop in.
The only way he's able to do that with Marcus Watson's arms is by following his legs up and over.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Fine.
It's an interesting one.
It's not a red card anyway. But
no, it's definitely
unless
not a red
the
card. Yes. Yeah. Good win for Leicester in the end. Leicester, it was a bit of a mixed bag of a game. There's some good things and some. It did feel like the end of a long 2 seasons watching this game at times where some of the defence, like for the Matt Scott and
the Matt Scott try was lovely.
Lovely. No one picks him up though. Like he's there's a great shot of the Matt Scott try from behind the posts where you can see all of the movement of both teams. And Matt Scott runs that line from like 20 yards away. It's a great line, but it is telegraphed, and he picks an enormous gap because no one picks him up. There was another one, I can't remember which try, but at least one of the Wasps tries was a little bit of defence optional from Leicester. But it made quite an entertaining spectacle.
One of the messages on the live chat was about a suggestion that we do a kind of end of season review on clubs, which we could do.
Perfect. Love that.
Yeah, so that's a great shout. And with any more ideas, by the way, we're going to do a Q&A pod,
Yes, we need to do
aren't
that.
we? So your
Yeah.
questions, your thoughts, your starting points, ideas like exactly that one. Thank you for it. Contact eggchasers@gmail.com. Our email address, contacteggchasers@gmail.com.
And it's just been exactly 1 hour since we started this, so I'm going to give a plug. North Dorset 7s and 10s. So logistical challenges have hit us now. Turns out organising rugby teams is very, very difficult. So first things first, we are doing a live show on the Sunday in the North Dorset 7s. That is at 11 a.m. in the
Gillingham Rugby
morning.
Club.
Gillingham,
Not to be confused with Gillingham Rugby Club.
not to be confused with Gillingham
Which,
Rugby Club.
interestingly, my grandparents lived in Gillingham for a bit, and my grandfather was like a merchant. Was a
Merchant of Venice.
merchant of Venice. He was like a merchant for the Navy, so he worked at
Merchant Seaman.
merchant. Yeah, but he
Merchantman.
used to be ledger. He used to basically just keep track on all of the stuff that came in to ports and went out. And so he worked at ports and Portsmouth, but he worked at the Chatham Dockyards for a while, and so he lived in Gillingham in Kent. So Gillingham is in Kent, Gillingham is in
You've
Dorset.
actually confused me more now.
We're going to Dorset.
Dorset, okay,
Gillingham-
North
Gillingham
Dorset
Rugby
Sevens,
Club.
Gillingham Rugby Club, right? So that is 11 a.m. Where do we find tickets? Do you know what? It's not Breitbart.
I know, I
I
listened
couldn't
back to
believe
that.
I said Breitbart. Bloody hell! Events Bright.
Special guest Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, Events Bright.
Steve Bannon will be there.
Oh my word!
I was watching that down in the gym when I was watching on Friday. What did JB just say? Breitbart for tickets to North Dorset Sevens.
Oh my word! Yeah. So North Dorset Sevens. Eventbrite, ND Sevens, Eventbrite, Eventbrite.
ND7S event on Eventbrite.
Yeah, you'll find it.
North Dorset 7's on Eventbrite. Get your ticket for the live show. If you're a patron, claim your free ticket.
Now,
via
buy
the
the
Patreon
tickets. Do buy the tickets via the link. You can buy when you get to the Sevens, but they're going to be substantially more expensive on the day. And we need to sell the tickets earlier because we need to work out numbers, if that makes sense. So if your idea,
Especially when there's doesn't matter.
yeah, it's getting tricky because I know a lot of people have gone with the intention to buy on the day. Do not do that because they'll be more expensive. Last thing, arranging rugby teams. It has dawned on me, and in fact, it's dawned on Lee Mack, who is our team manager, that when you have two teams playing 10s and 7s, maybe we might not be able to play all the 10s and all the 7s. We need more players. So
we were going to run like a dual squad, weren't we?
yeah, exactly.
we'll go and do that.
We'll go and do some 10s, and it works out like 86 million matches. So I'd have to do a lot of rugby.
Yeah, some of which are probably concurrent as well.
Yeah. So we need more people to play. If you're over 35 and you want to play 10s, or just come for a drink. In fact, if you just want to be a support and come for a drink, you
in
can
the
do that.
Vets tournament.
With the Vets tournament, over 35s for 10s. 7s, any 7s player, preferably at least low-level international standard. That's
Tier-
what-
Tier 2 or
you can
above.
be a past international.
a past international is fine.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, only a past international if you've kept yourself in shape.
Tier 1 past international, right? Yeah, that's so. If you want to play 7s, come play 7s. Because if we have 7s players, we can release players for the 10s and vice versa. So we need more players. It's dawned on us. We have an unfeasible amount of rugby to play.
And it would just be a good crack as well.
Yeah. So that's contact egg chasers. Contact egg chasers at Gmail. Do that.
At gmail.com. JD has just mentioned. Were you going to say something on that?
No, go on.
I was
Oh,
just
Phil,
gonna
and Phil can't play as well. That's another injury
not?
we have to contend with.
Injured.
It's amazing, isn't
Phil.
it? How he's handling his injury so far in advance.
I'm always injured.
And your brother's not coming now.
I know.
Do you reckon you can?
Should we talk him?
I'll see if I can work. I'll see if I can.
I've told him that I'll look after him.
Work at him.
I won't let him get hurt.
Yeah. These like my brother played at Premiership and stuff, and Phil played at Championship. Might have even played against Nick
Yeah.
a few times.
I think, yeah.
He beat you up.
I definitely played against him when he was at Nottingham.
Yeah. So anyway,
Maybe at Plymouth as well.
point being, they've both played at a good standard. Aren't these ex like pro / or semi pros even a little bit precious with their bodies?
Too finely
Like
tuned.
Yeah.
after retirement.
Do you know who's not precious with their body, and I love him for it? Dean Schofield, the captain of the championship-winning Sale team, was playing for Stockport until last year. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Toulon captain at one point as well.
Toulon
Toulon
captain. He was a
captain.
Toulon captain.
Yeah.
He's a Sale captain. I'm pretty sure he must have captained either Worcester or Leeds. I'm very,
Probably both.
he did London Welsh when they came up, and he's still playing. Well, no, this is the first season he won't be playing because he's concentrating on various businesses which he has. But he was playing last year for Stockport.
Wow.
Good lad.
JD,
Great
on,
lad.
JD on
Yeah.
the live chat says, and he's quite right, surely Dan Cole's try deserves a mention. A rarity right there. A
Yeah.
collector's item.
It really is a collector's
Is
item.
it his second?
He definitely scored one for England.
Oh, is it England he scored for? Maybe.
But he might have scored another one for Leicester. I'm sure. I don't think it was mentioned in comms on the Wasps game this week, but I'm sure only a few weeks ago, Nick Mullins mentioned that Kieran Brooks is something like 150 or 160 Premiership appearances without a try.
Yeah. Oh, Kim Brooks is leaving Wasps, isn't he?
Yeah, there's a few players, like both Wasps and Quins, announced players who are being released, and there's some bloody talented players.
Yeah. So the
going.
Quins list is really quite talented. Baldwin,
So
Landacco.
Baldwin's been signed.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, just actually released.
Actually,
Released.
released. Yeah, Nathan Earl was one who was released,
Yep.
and then he's I
Now
think
going
he's
to
been
Newcastle.
yeah picked up by Newcastle. Landacco is very talented. Elia is
Yep.
very talented.
Is it Leah?
Elia,
And
Benny Taps.
and
Benny
Dean,
Taps is
and
great.
Dean Richards was talking about this. It's his comments from yesterday in the rugby paper today, and he's basically saying the quality of players that don't have any club is frighteningly good.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it
and
really
for
is.
those players,
And this
Frightening.
well frightening, but also maybe this. I know Tim, you were talking the other week about how do you solve the South African problem, or the problem where you are incentivized to buy massive, enormous, very talented South Africans because they're relatively cheap. But there's actually been, obviously last year when there was a 25% reduction in Premiership wages, saw a greater than 25% reduction for most players, because the top players, there would be a handful of players who could command whatever they want anywhere in the world, who will not have taken any pay cut, or certainly won't have taken 25%, and then everyone else will have borne the brunt of that, so people have taken a much greater. And actually, the value of a squad level winger, or any position, has gone down. That obviously was not intended to address or redress the balance of English to South African talent in the Premiership, but it has the unintended consequence of doing. It will look like something that you mentioned just last week, and so there are a lot of very talented players who are going to find themselves without a club.
Tough, isn't it?
and if you're transitioning from rugby, fortunately the RPA, this is one thing they're very good at, is helping people with qualifications or training or whatever.
Mhm.
But if you've only been a rugby player and you're going to transition to something else, it's not a great time to be leaving the sport and going and
No, it's
picking
not.
up something else.
It's
So
not.
there's a lot of people that you sort of forget about the human part. We just consume the product we see on the telly, but the human aspect of this is quite tough. I mean, this is the same for
it
all
is.
sorts of careers in all sorts of ways.
But it is, I think, more pronounced in professional sport, because not all of these guys are on mega money. And actually, none of these guys are on mega, like ludicrous footballer or greater money. But if you're a 20 to 25-year-old lad who's had kind of 4 or 5 years of being a professional rugby player, you might be earning, I don't know, if you're lucky at the moment, you might be earning 100k. There'll be players less than that, players
Yep.
on more than that. But as a 25-year-old lad, what other jobs can you go jump into and be
You'll-
earning 100k?
I think, right, if you're earning 40k, right, on the very high-end academy contract, right, 40k is probably the highest end. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
maybe 30k. But
Yeah,
whatever it is.
whatever it is, 35k, 40,
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
matter. If you're earning that kind of money and you're 18, you're basically a millionaire. You're basically a millionaire.
Yeah, if you're 23 and you're on 100k, which these guys, there are
Yeah,
players
yeah.
who are on more than that, who are not even, or certainly historically not even the top guys. That is mega.
Huge
you
money.
will not
Equally-
be able to go and get that kind of money anywhere else at that
If
age.
you leave professional rugby at the age of 22, you don't quite make the cut at the top level, so and all you ever got was a 35k academy contract.
Yeah.
The hit on you, you've got to transition. but yeah, the hit will not be as pronounced as if you've got a mortgage based on earning 150.
Have I told you a story about?
Yeah.
So I was talking to a player. I won't name any names for obvious reasons, but we were doing modelling of like different, different salary bands and.
I thought you could say we're doing modelling.
Yeah. Of, like,
Speedos by the pool.
exactly.
Foot modelling.
Yeah.
Foot modelling.
Just two mates hanging out. And actually, we came to the conclusion that your best bet in professional rugby is not to earn 200k because it's so hard to replace, or 100k is very hard to replace, and it's actually not that much. But if you're, earning 40 to 70, and your wife still works, and you're pretty realistic with cash, you're probably better off earning 40k because you can replace 40k. It's not going to be a massive life-changing thing.
Or at least you're
when
best
you leave.
off putting maximum amount of pension contributions in whilst you're
Yeah.
earning 70 and living on 40 because you can replace that.
Exactly. Do not spend it. Do not spend it. As I tell them all the time, do not spend it. Stop spending.
So wait, no Ferraris, no Lamborghinis, no Range Rovers.
Tough to say, isn't it? I
Uh,
mean-
G63 AMG.
Like Francois, one day Francois Hoo-ha will stop playing and he's still going to have the payments on it. Well, you could,
Absolute steal.
there's more comfortable cars to sleep in if that's what you're doing.
Oh dear.
I'd get a Volkswagen Passat, Francois. Much more practical to sleep in. Nice big boot. You could just change it up. That could be like a
Lovely, isn't it? Lovely.
spare bedroom.
So just back onto Wasp signings and releases. Sam McIntyre is returning to sell Sharks, which is no big news for majority of people. It's big news for us.
He's a Broughton Park boy.
Broad Park lad.
Yeah.
Our local club to this podcast right now.
Coming home, so very, very happy about that.
Yeah, and some good competition for Harrison and
Rod.
Evan Rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I
really
just-
good sign, actually.
Can I just ask the question, as it's slightly off topic for a minute, but just because you mentioned foot modelling, Phil, where do you stand on wearing flip-flops not by a poolside or on the beach? Like just walking down
I wear them all the time.
Fine.
Chorlton High Street. You're fine with that? Oh.
Yeah.
If I've got to walk anywhere, any great distance, no, from a practicality and comfort.
What about
perspective,
flip-flops and socks? Because this seems to be a trend at the moment.
socks and
No,
sliders?
it's socks and sliders,
Sliders.
not
Why,
flip-flops.
why sliders? What's the difference?
'Cause with thongs,
You wouldn't be able to, the sock,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
have to
right,
squash
right, yeah,
the
yeah.
sock down.
That's okay. That's a fair point.
socks and sliders. It's
Socks
like,
and sliders are
was
comfy.
it Stormzy was a big part of this trend, I think, a few
Is
years
that
ago.
right?
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. You're
I could be
doing the
completely
biz,
wrong.
Tim.
So I saw a gentleman the other day with socks and sliders, right? And I just thought, oh, the guy's obviously just, can't be bothered. He's just kind of, as I would. Like, I don't, I've been to the co-op around here basically in my pajamas, right? Literally in my pajamas. So I have complete respect for that. But then I looked at his socks and they were a particular brand that's like, no, he hasn't just rolled out of bed. That's a confected look. He's actually.
Was it the Adidas sliders with the Adidas socks?
No, it was Adidas sliders with Jordan socks.
Oh,
So
like
he's
Air
gone out of his
Jordan.
way to match that with that. So this actually
Mm.
isn't what I thought it was. This isn't me going to the shop in my,
Yeah, it's a thing,
in my
and,
pajamas.
and it almost seems quite ironic, doesn't it? Like it's done knowingly,
Ironically,
ironically.
yeah.
Like I'm taking the piss out of granddads who we always who always got the mick taken out of them for wearing socks with sandals.
Oh, it's very comfortable.
Yeah, you can get away with wearing absolutely anything you want in Chorlton
Well,
because people are so mad around here.
some of the outfits
They're incredible.
at CrossFit.
Oh, CrossFit fashion, probably my favorite of all the
No,
subjects.
and actually, just gym in general, because I've
Rogue, I only wear Rogue.
I
Yeah.
go to no, but like off the CrossFit one, just in gyms in general, there are some people who dress up too much to go to the gym with, and they really match. They really match their outfits. They have a certain cut of vest.
Yeah.
kind
Some of the women's outfits are incredible. Incredible.
The Virgin Active that we both used to go to in Salford Keys. Some of the
There's
women's
more going into the gym than there is going on.
fully made, like if they're going to go for a night out or a professional photo shoot, and always matching
Yeah.
leggings and top.
Yeah, you're there to work. You're there.
Yeah,
to,
Well,
Well, no,
funny,
actually,
funny
these
enough,
girls are
they are
not-
working.
they're not. Well, they're not because they don't want to sweat. 'cause
No,
they'll ruin their look.
no. You're wrong. You're both wrong here. So there was some. I'm going to sound like a right creep here. In Virgin Active, right, there was a girl filming herself, right? Oh, that's interesting. Do you mind if I ask, like, what are you filming? And she goes, yeah, I'm a YouTuber.